Are you planning to move to Montreal or potentially to relocate to our amazing city? Do you know enough about Montreal in order to make an informed decision on where to move? Today, I'm going to walk you through the different neighborhoods of Montreal, give you some insight as to the pros and cons about the different areas. My name is LJ Aguinaga, your local real estate broker. I work here with LJ Realties. I'm going to walk you through all these different steps. I've helped over 750 families buy or sell real estate on our wonderful island and in the surrounding areas. Stay along with me in this video. I look forward to showing you everything our wonderful city has to offer from a geographic perspective. While partnering with a knowledgeable real estate broker could simplify the process, I always recommend you do your own research and get familiar with the different neighborhoods on your own to start. If you are looking for a dedicated real estate team, the team here at LJ Realties would be more than happy to help you. A link to book a meeting with me directly is in the description down below. I look forward to hearing from you on there. Without further ado, let's jump right in and start talking about the different options. So, over here, we have a different map of the different areas of Montreal, right? We have the North Shore of Montreal, Laval, Montreal, the Vaudreuil-Soulanges area over to the west, the South Shore of Montreal, and then the Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu area. Now, it's important to note that I'm going to go over here onto Google Maps, that Montreal is kind of divided into different areas, but when we look at our city, we have a different way of looking at north, south, east, and west. Historically, we look at north heading in this direction, so basically kind of in an diagonal on that axis. South would be towards the water, towards the South Shore effectively. East is kind of going over here in this direction. And then west is everything to the west of the island. Now, why do I say this? Is because Montreal is obviously built kind of on a 45-degree angle, and it makes it a lot more easy to understand when people say Montreal north, south, east, west. Generally speaking, we use this wonderful street over here, Saint Laurent, the main, if you will, to distinguish between the east and the west sides of Montreal. If you look at the east side of Montreal, so everything from Saint Laurent Boulevard heading towards Saint Leonard, Montreal Est, etc., that area is typically more French. If we cut the island off going into the other direction, that area is split more on a 50-50 basis to even more English as we get into the west side of the island. The airport of Montreal is located pretty much right center of the island, so it's pretty easy to get to and pretty central. Now, let's go back into this different area over here. So, all of these surrounding areas make up Montreal, and they all have different benefits or pros and cons to living in them. Montreal is an island, so for those of you who didn't know, we are an independent island and we have all the surrounding areas around us. It's great because it's pretty unique in that sense, but obviously we have bridges at different points of the island to get us to and from the different areas. So if you are commuting to the downtown area, you're going to want to keep that in mind for your commute. Like with most metropolitans, the closer you are to the core, the more expensive real estate is. Obviously, as you get further and further, real estate is going to be less expensive, or your dollar's going to go a lot further. What I mean by that is that you're going to be able to purchase a much larger property for the same price, if not even less in some cases. Now, let's take a look at some of these different neighborhoods. So if we go back over to Google Maps over here, I've basically anchored the search at where our offices headquarters are, which is right in front of the Bell Centers right now. So this is pretty much the heart of downtown Montreal, if you will. Look at here, we've got Gare Centrale a couple blocks away, and this is going to give you a couple of different indicators as to where different things are located. So downtown obviously is the most dense parts where we have a lot of apartment buildings, condo towers, stuff of that nature. Obviously all the offices are there as well. If you're working in finance or anything of that nature, you're going to want to be pretty close to this area because obviously it's going to make your commute a lot easier. As we get into the different areas, we have what's considered the suburbs. And the closest suburb to downtown Montreal is probably St. Lambert. Now, you are crossing a bridge to get to it, but it's a pretty straight shot, and it makes commuting there very, very easy. After that, we've got some of our more luxurious neighborhoods, including Westmount over here. It's one of the oldest neighborhoods of Montreal. It's got some of the most expensive properties as well. Outremont is just a short shot north on the other side of the mountain over here, so you have to cross onto the other side of the mountain to get to that part of town. And then Plateau is also another very in-demand neighborhood before we get into the neighborhoods of the Sud-West, like Little Burgundy, Griffintown, and whatnot. If we want to get into more of the classical suburbs, we have the whole West Island, which is very English-speaking, very English-focused. You've got a bunch of different neighborhoods or boroughs that make up the West Island over here. I personally grew up in the West. It was a wonderful place to grow up. Tons of great sports activities, lots of parks, great, very easy to bike around. So I do highly recommend it for young families. I currently live closer to the downtown area, and I really enjoy that lifestyle as well. So depending on what you're looking for, there's going to be different pros and cons and different things to offer for it. We have Laval, which is another suburb of Montreal. What makes Laval pretty nice is that you have a couple of metro stations down there. When I say metro, I'm referring to the subway system that we have here in Montreal. It's called the metro, and that's the most common way of referring to it. So Different ways of getting around. We have buses, we have trains, we have the REM that's coming up, and we have the metros, obviously. So depending on your commutes and what you're looking for, it's going to be important to understand how far you are to the public transit options. And then obviously you can definitely drive around, but we do get quite congested with traffic. So if you are working on a regular 9 to 5 schedule, then you're going to have to plan accordingly for your commute every single day. As I expand a little bit further out on this map, we can see a little bit further. So we have Saint Jerome, which is typically about a 45-minute drive from Montreal. As we head in that direction, we're heading towards the Laurentians, what we call typically cottage country. You do have people who will make that commute into town. A lot of times people in construction like to live further away from the city because they're driving in before traffic and heading out of the city before traffic as well. I wouldn't recommend it for somebody doing a regular drive during traffic hour because that would be quite long. And then we can also go towards the east over here, areas of Charlemagne and Repentigny. Those areas are off island as well, but they're pretty in demand as well due to the fact that you can get larger homes in that area and still make your commute in. Longueuil, Brassard, La Prairie are all very in-demand neighborhoods that are all suburbs of Montreal. Again, all off-island, but a short shot away with some of the highway access that we have and some of the bridges that we have accessible to us. So really, a lot of times people ask, well, LJ, what's the best neighborhood to live in? And the best neighborhood really depends on yourself. It depends on what schools you're looking for your kids. It depends on where your job is. What's your commute going to look like? What activities do you like? What sports do you require? What activity centers do you want? What restaurants do you like? What's important to you and your quality of life? Does it have to be very walkable? Are you looking for a lot of parks? All of these factors play a large role. There is no one size fits all. What makes me and my family happy might not align with you, your values, or what you're looking for specifically. And we're going to get along great. We're just looking for two different things out of our home base. So really, there is no one size fits all answer. It really comes down to what's important to you and what you want to do with this information. So we can break down some of these different neighborhoods over here, and obviously over here is what I have the barometer, and this gets released every single quarter. I'm happy to share this information with you. As I go down, it'll give you statistics on what's happened in these different areas. So we can go to Montreal over here, and it'll bring me to all these statistics. So we can see that in the fourth quarter of 2024, sales were actually up 44%, active listings were up 4%, the median price was up 10%, average price was up 9%, and the time to sell properties was actually up 2 days to a total of 59 days. That was for single-family homes. If we go into condos, we have the statistics over here, and plexes, we have these statistics. Down here, we can see that we are in a seller's market across the board, and then obviously I can keep going through this document and break down different neighborhoods and showcase what each area has been doing. If you are interested in more information like this, feel free to comment down below. I'd be more than happy to share this link with you, but this is all public information. It's very accessible. It's available through the APCIQ, so I'm more than happy to share that with you. If you do want to talk about some of the findings that we have on here, it would be my pleasure. Feel free to book that consultation with me. Again, there's no cost associated to that, and I can walk through everything there is to know about real estate, buying a property in Montreal, the different neighborhoods, the good, the bad, the ugly. I've been doing real estate for the last 17 years, and by doing I mean buying, selling, investing, everything associated to building, you name it. I've been a part of it in real estate in Montreal, so it'd be my pleasure to walk you through some of these different things. Now let's get back to commutes, because a lot of time people wonder how long is it going to take me to commute from one place to another. So over here, Google Maps has this nifty feature where it can show you commute times. Now, right now, I've set it to from our office, so we're located at 1275 Avenue du Canadien right now, and I've put a 15-minute radius by car, so if you're driving. And you can see over here that it kind of highlights this blue area that shows you how far you could get in 15 minutes. You can see that St. Lambert's in there, Broadsard's in there, and we can go La Salle, Lachine, if you stay close enough to the highway, and this Côte des Neiges area leading into a little portion of Ville Saint Laurent. Now, if I extend this 15 minutes into 30 minutes, for example, well, now you see that we're covering a much larger area. You pretty much get the entire island of Montreal. You can go all the way to the edge of Sainte-Thérèse, Boisbriand, if you will, Rosemère. South Shore, you're going all the way to Chambly, just before Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu. Châteauguay's in there, Mercier, Saint-Constant, you name it. And again, this is all without traffic. I do want to highlight that because growing up in the West Island, we always said, yeah, we're 25 minutes from downtown, but that's 25 minutes not in rush hour. Whenever we were in rush hour, you were looking at about an hour's time. So that's where it becomes super important to understand the differences of rush hour traffic, non-rush hour traffic. And then you can even go over here and I can go to a 1 hour distance. And obviously within 1 hour, now we're really pushing the limits. You can get across the border into the U.S. within an hour. You can go all the way into the Laurentians, into the Saint-Sauveur area, almost at Sorel over here, Granby. So again, it kind of depends on what's important to you, what your commute's going to look like, what you do for work. Do you have to go into the office regularly? I can tell you right now, downtown is busiest on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It seems like everybody's in office on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and every other day of the week, it's quite quiet. And I'd say this because in our building where we are right now, the parking is pretty empty on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but on Tuesdays and Thursdays, it becomes very difficult to get a parking spot. So that seems to be the trend right now, and this tool is super helpful if you're looking to understand your commute, your travel time, what it's going to look like. And again, I'd be more than happy to discuss further with you what that's going to look like and what we should do in order to mitigate some of these travel times and stuff of that nature. The REM is going to change a lot of this as well. The REM is currently in construction. The first line that connects the South Shore, so Brossard, all the way to downtown is already running, but there are going to be lines that go into the Deux-Montagnes area, that go towards the West Island, that connect with the airport. So this is supposed to be groundbreaking for us and make it a lot easier to get around. The REM trains are typically moving, I think it's every like 3 to 7 minutes. So it's very, very frequent. It's all electrically powered. So it's a pretty cool system that's being developed right now in Montreal. And then we do have our classic subway metro stations that we've had for many, many years now. That is one of the most reliable ways to get around the city, and very efficient as well. Now, if you're unsure about what's important to you and you want a bit more information on some of these different areas, well, you can come over here to centris.ca, and we have this wonderful tool. We have the Discover Your Community. So if you click Discover Your Community, right now it automatically loads up for province of Quebec. I can go to the Montreal area. You can go Island, North Shore, South Shore, etc. We can start off with the Island over here. And this tells you the information for the entire island of Montreal. So we can start off first of all by population. It breaks it down, what the average age is, the household income across the board, the percentages for the different amounts, the household size. So right now we're an average of 2.2 people per household. The family types, so couples without children at home, couples with children at home, single parent families, housing tenures, so it's 40% owners, 60% renters. It is a very rental heavy city here in Montreal. The construction date, so before 1960, you can see that 38% of our city was built before then. And then the next 33% is before 1980. So obviously, we're a pretty old city. We're one of the oldest cities in North America. Housing types, a lot of it is buildings with less than 5 floors. So a lot of the plexes, what we see commonly throughout the downtown and surrounding areas. Education levels of the different population that we have here in Montreal. 65% of the population is non-immigrant, so local people, and 35% is immigrants. So it is a pretty diverse culture. And again, you can use this to break down how the languages are spoken as well. French, English, other languages. It's also pretty neat because we can go through different municipalities. So if I go, let's say, to Dollard-des-Ormeaux in the West Island, it shifts everything for that different neighborhood. And here you'll see English, for example, becomes a 61%, French 16%, other languages 23%. And you'll see that single family homes now make up 58% of this. So you can really cycle along this. And for example, let's go now into Ville-Marie. If I go into Ville-Marie now, it gives me the population as well, which is cool. The average income, here we've got 27% owners to a 73% renters, which is a huge shift. And now all of a sudden, buildings with 5 or more floors becomes 50% of the building. So that's a lot of the condo towers because we're here in downtown for Ville-Marie. Non-immigrant versus immigrant again, and then the languages also shows the split of the different languages. So it's a pretty cool tool. We also have statistics on here, so if you want to see the latest, this was pulled from the barometer, so the same tool that I showed you before, and you can see that in that last quarter in Ville-Marie, for example, total residential sales were up 58%, new listings was up 21%, active listings was up 34% in the volume that we have here. Single family homes, there's only 15 sales. Ville-Marie is very much a condo heavy neighborhood and a plex heavy neighborhood, so there's not going to be too much data for that. But if I look over here, for example, in the condominiums, now you can see that sales were up 58%, active listings were up 32%, median price was up 4% over that quarter. Now this is comparing fourth quarter 24 to fourth quarter 2023. It's important to note that. And then you can see what happened over the course of the previous 12 months with this last 4 quarters. And then we have the same thing for plexes over here. So really cool tool. You also have a couple useful links if you want to see different things over here. Centris has done a great job of building a lot of this stuff into it. You can see the STM, which is our transport network, the RTM as well, which is an even wider section of the transport network. Daycare is obviously a very important question. If you are a young family, you've got options here. Schools, healthcare centers, all this kind of stuff, which is super neat, super useful. A lot of time people will ask me, well, what are the different price points? Okay, so I have over here Matrix, which is at the back end of our property search tool, and I've put a search kind of window between, let's say, 700 to 800,000, which is the average price point in Montreal right now. Again, there are higher, there are lower, but this is just to show you a general thing. So if I go to Dollar des Ormeaux, kind of the neighborhood that I had shown you before, let's see what we can get in this price point. So right now it's currently active. We can go over here and let's see, $750. We've got this property on Allenbrook. You've got a split level home. It's a 4-bedroom, 1+1 bathroom. It's got 1 garage, 2 driveway spots. It was built in 1963. And they did a lot of upgrades. You see new roof in 2017, new garage floor, new garage door, all sorts of stuff that's been done to the property over here. The property was not flooded, and this is referring to August 9th, 2024. We had a lot of rainfall, that way more of the historic average, and a lot of properties flooded, specifically in the West Island, but even across the city. So they're just mentioning that obviously the home was not affected by that, which makes it a solid home to consider in that sense. So flip through some of these photos here just to give you some context. So classic 1960s home. It's got some upgrades done. Seems to be in pretty good condition. Nice kitchen. Looks like it's got a wooden cabinetry throughout. This is a pretty typical construction for the suburbs of Montreal. You can see the split levels was a common construction method that we used. They upgraded the bathrooms. Yeah. Nice home over here. And now I want to run this exact same search, but see if we can find anything in, let's see, the Sud-Ouest, for example. Sud-Ouest is located just southwest of the downtown core. Now let's go back here to the partial and see what we have in terms of options. Let's look at this one on green. So here we've got a nice little home, $799,000. This is now a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. No parking available on this home. So obviously we're now located right over here. Pretty dense. Atwater, we got the Atwater Market right over here, and for reference, the downtown core of the Bell Center is going to be right around here. And as we look at this home, obviously significantly smaller than the one that we just looked at in the West Island, but also in pretty good shape. It's got some nice flooring. It looks like a laminate flooring. The kitchen looks to be in pretty good shape. Again, everything's going to be a little bit more compact, a little bit smaller over here, but gives you some context as to the different things we can find in different neighborhoods, and there's everything in between as well, obviously. So this is a nice feature. It's got like a little sunroom where you can open up the drapes and get lots of light coming in, or you can close them for a little bit more privacy. Pretty cool property that's currently on the market on Green Street. And it's detached. This is actually quite rare for this neighborhood, to be honest. So this shows us some of the different properties that we can get. I'm going to go do one more search, and let's do that in Côte-des-Neiges, for example. Let's see what pops up. Côte-des-Neiges, there are 6 options. And if I look at, let's say, this one on Grosvenor, this is a 2 or more story. This actually is not a home. This is going to be a condo, but sometimes it gets listed as a home because of the type. Let's look at this one on Madison. Cute little home, 2 or more stories, semi-detached, so we're sharing this wall over here. This is a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom. 3 driveway spots, actually, so that's pretty interesting. And this is located here on Madison. So if we zoom out a little bit, this is in the NDG area. Monkland Village is right over here, so it gives you some context as to where it is. If I cycle through these photos, you got some popcorn ceilings, nice hardwood floors. Again, more compact than we were seeing in the West Island, but we do have a nice yard here, which is a nice feature. So this is kind of an in-between. I've taken you through 3 different neighborhoods that are all located on the island of Montreal to show you different price points. Now, the last part I'll do here is if I go into off-island. So let's say I go over to Laval. Let's say I go to Chamonix, which is one of the most in-demand neighborhoods of Laval. And I go over here to the partial, and let's compare to the $799 range, which we've seen for some of the other ones. We've got this one on Murray. We've got another split level. So this becomes pretty comparable to the house that we saw in DDO. Split level home in pretty good shape. It seems to have been renovated over the years. Looks like you have some hardwood floors, kitchen, countertops. Seems like they were upgraded along the way. Seems to be a very bright property, which is nice. Bathroom was just redone. Cycle back there. Oh, they've got a little hair salon in this unit as well. So somebody works from home and offers those services. And then I'll click over here just to put it on the map for you. So this is Laval, and you can see it over here on the north end, and everything else I was comparing was over here. Then we had NDG over here. We had DDO right over here. So different areas. Now we're in Laval over here on the north. You've got highways 15 and highways 13 that get you there. And then over here, you've got the Marseille-Lorraine connection as well. So pretty well located. A lot of people love Laval because it's a little bit less expensive typically, but you have that metro access. You also have Carrefour Laval, which is one of the best malls that we have in the Greater Montreal area, to be honest. So lots of good reasons to move into Laval. My in-laws actually live out there. So yeah, I'll take us back over here to the map. So like I mentioned, we have kind of the west versus the east, if you will. And it's not so much of versus, but just different parts of Montreal. The highways do a pretty good job connecting most of our city. But again, we've grown in population significantly. We're over 4 million people in the Greater Montreal area. So traffic during rush hour can be quite congested. And yeah, if you want more information on living in any of the different neighborhoods, I would be more than happy to walk you through them. Feel free to book a consultation with me. Like I said, the link is down below in the description. If you have questions or comments, please drop them below as well. I'd be more than happy to answer them. So I hope this is useful to you. If you want more content like this, or if you want more specific information about any of the different neighborhoods, shoot me a message, comment down below, and I'll respond to all of that. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day.